This is the old graveyard in Ackworth. It is the most haunted cemetery in the whole state of New Hampshire. This is the Pine Hill Cemetery in Hollis, but few in this town call this place Pine Hill. Most people call it the Blood Cemetery. This is the Point of Graves Cemetery. The oldest grave in this cemetery dates from 1638. When you're alone in a cemetery and it's really cold and dark, the fact that there are actually human bones and skulls just 4 or 5 feet or so beneath where you are standing can be pretty terrifying. What if suddenly a skeleton hand were to come up? Have you on your mask tonight? For the dead are abroad, and they are looking for you. But I don't know as I would want to come down here alone after midnight on Halloween. Anyone seen my broom? I was stunned she was so pretty. But more to the point, I was stunned because it was 3 o'clock in the morning and she was alone. She had dark hair hanging loose, a grayish white, almost night dress and slippers. She had no coat on. I'm cold, she told me. It happened right here at the old Point of Graves Cemetery over there, Strawberry Bank. Oh, we're in Portsmouth, of course. Earlier, I had paid for a room out at the old Meadowview Motel by the traffic circle. I'd been working late in Durham, had decided to stay here in Portsmouth instead of driving all the way back to Hancock. So I went to the cheapest motel in town and I got what I paid for. In the unit next to mine, the couple was having an all-night fight. I couldn't sleep, so I went for a drive. Stopped at Dunkin' Donuts, had my thermos filled with hot coffee, and then I drove down here to walk around. Not a soul on the street. No one. And then, right here by the gate, I saw her. "Hello," I said. "Hello." Kind of late to be out. She just looked at me. Couldn't tell what color her eyes were, just that they were dark. "You alone?" I asked. "I am," she said, and then she paused. "Alone?" "I'm Fritz." "Jerusha." Nice old-fashioned name, is it? I nodded. I looked down the street, not a soul, no cars, no cops coming by, no sound of people talking, only the general noise you get in any city. But like I say, no one in sight. "Fritz?" "Yes." "I am so cold." "I have a thermos of coffee in my car," I said. When I got back, she was shivering. She took the cup and she sipped. "Does it help?" "A little." "Do you live around here?" "I used to live down there at the Assay House," she said. Oh, I'd never heard of such a place. She took another sip of coffee. "Fritz," she said, "would you like to dance?" "Dance?" She nodded. "There isn't any music." "I'll sing," she said. "Okay." "Come to me, my melancholy baby, cuddle up and don't be blue." And so we danced. "All your fears are foolish fancies. Maybe you know, dear, that I'm in love with you." And she was very cold. Also, there was the smell. Not a bad smell, just a kind of old, neutral smell, like old building smell that had closed up all winter. And a slight odor of perfume. The smell made me sad. "Marry me, Fritz," she said. "What?" "Marry me." Well, the dancing was sure enough over. Why would you ask me that? To begin with, I am old enough to be your grandfather. I could die tonight. I could die tomorrow. I know, she said. You see, I was there with Davy Carlson. I was there. I told you I used to live at the Assay House. I don't anymore. To go home, I need respectability. Oh, boy, all the nuts on the street, and I end up tonight with a certifiable crackpot. Jerusha, you are extremely pretty, and here I noticed that her eyes were green and tearing up. Tell you what, I'll call social services. I'll get you a place to stay tonight. And she was gone. I don't know how she did it, where she went, but she just wasn't here. And so I went back to the motel room, lay there for an hour or so while the sun came up. Then I came back down here to the cemetery. And then I went to the library and I looked up the Assay House and the name Davy Carlson. The Assay House was a famous establishment in Portsmouth's red light district. In 1912, the body of a Marine from the Navy Yard was found in the street up against the wall of the Assay House. His neck and spinal column had been snapped. Earlier, he had been in a room on the second floor of the Assay House. Later, he'd gotten into a fight with another Marine, but the crime to this day is unsolved. It has been a few years since I danced with Jerusha here by the cemetery in the moonlight, and I have gotten even older. But most every night I think about her, and as my life winds down, I, like all of us, ponder on what any of it was worth. Some think about the companies they created or the poems they wrote. Others think that maybe nothing has been worthwhile. And I wonder whether or not maybe I missed a chance to make a difference, not in a life, but in an immortal soul of someone. Could I have given her respectability and the ticket out of limbo? Could I? And maybe, just maybe, it's not too late. Most of his life, Isaac Pomeroy worried about being buried alive. He had been in the Civil War, had served in the New Hampshire 9th Regiment at Petersburg, Wilderness, Cold Harbor. He had seen things no one should have seen, and he had dreams. When he came back, he was suffering from what would today be called post-traumatic stress disorder. Civil War time, it was called soldier's heart. In his old age, he moved in with his son, Peter. Peter's farm out on Bible Hill Road. Peter wasn't married, the two lived alone. In the winter of 1916, Isaac was sick. He knew he was dying, and he was having dreams. And the terror was more than he could bear. On his deathbed, Isaac made his son swear he would follow his instructions for his final resting place, and so it was that Isaac Pomeroy was buried in the cellar of the old farm. The cellar was perfect. It was winter. There was no digging in the graveyard, but the soil in the basement was loose. Peter dug the grave shallow enough so that he could at any time dig the old man up. In the lid of the casket, Peter drilled a hole. He ran a pipe through the hole. In the pipe was a wire that went all the way up to the bedroom on the second floor, Peter's bedroom, and there it was attached to a bell. Peter never told anyone that his father was in the basement. 2 years passed. It was February, midnight. Peter was in bed. He was in that netherworld one goes into just before you go to sleep, and of course, yes, the bell rang. And it not just rang, the bell was jerking like a mad person was yanking on the wire. Peter lighted the kerosene lamp. He went to the cellar. On the way, he grabbed a shovel. "Oh, Father, I have missed you so," he yelled as he descended to the dirt floor, and he began digging. The coffin lid was only an inch or so under the soil, and he got to the lid quickly, and he pulled the top open to find a rat! A rat! Both Peter and his father Isaac now lie here in the graveyard side by side. The next morning, when they discovered Peter's body, the kerosene lamp was still burning, and the look of horror frozen on Peter's face was so terrible that those who were there that day still dream about it. William Phillips was a pirate that plied these waters in 1723. He and his crew attacked fishing sloops and schooners. They would steal any valuables and kill all the crew of such ships. But even pirates can take only so much, and one day, as they were attacking a sloop called the Squirrel, the crew of the pirate ship had had enough and they mutinied. And in order to get the reward from the Massachusetts governor, the men chopped off the heads of the captain and the first mate to bring back to Boston in a brine. In other words, they pickled the heads so they would last and be recognized. You know, I love pickles. A friend of mine decided that it was time to buy a house. And so on a day in the fall, I went with her to view one of those houses in Atlantic Heights over in Portsmouth. This was a single brick affair with a tiny lawn and an old maple tree that hung over the roof. Just one of dozens of almost identical homes that were built there during World War I. The real estate agent put the key in the front door. It belonged to a couple, she said. I'm told they had no kids. They lived here over 50 years. Now, the living room was to the right as you went into the foyer. It was claustrophobic. An oversized sofa took up most of the space, a couple of rocking chairs, a small side table. The place smelled like old people. To the left of the entryway was the kitchen. Appliances from the 1940s and 50s. The paint was drab. There was a chrome and Formica kitchen table against the wall, and on the table an open jar of peanut butter and a table knife. And I noted that there were no ants, although the food had been there a while. Up the stairs we found two small bedrooms, also overcrowded. Closets were full of suits and coats and dresses. The dressers crammed full of underwear, socks and blouses. The beds were made. The decor was pink and lacy. The house looked as if somebody had just gone out of the door to do an errand, would be back shortly. I understand the couple went to the nursing home, the agent said. Their nephew put the place on the market. He's in Upper New York State. Well, the price was right. And so my friend bought the house, and a week or so later, got a call from the nephew, the guy who was selling the place. It was going to be a hassle, he said, to get rid of the furniture and stuff. A local storage company was going to charge him money to do the job, even though they were keeping all the furniture. Would my friend consider purchasing all the stuff, the beds, the sofas? How much? $200. TV too? Yeah, TV too. Well, heck, my friend had no furniture to speak of, and so she moved in and continued, as it were, to live the life of the two old people, Darby and Joan, she called them. We took a ton of stuff to Goodwill, all but the shoes. See, in the back of the closet, my friend discovered this long box tucked under the eaves, and in that box, there had to be at least 20 pair of women's shoes, and they all fit. I frankly never saw anyone happier. For the next few months, my friend had on a different pair of shoes every day. Her favorite was a pair of pink pumps, which she wore to parties. How's that? Pink pumps parties. Anyhow, they were so over the top. What camp? Soon cold weather came. And then one night, my friend woke up with a start in front of the TV. What woke her was thunder. It was one of those fluke storms that happen every few years when there is snow, that is a snowstorm, and thunder. The clock read 2 o'clock in the morning. And then it was silent. You know, the silence of snow falling. And then she heard this soft sound, like something going up the stairs. Her first thought was that a squirrel had gotten in the house. It was more noise than a mouse would make, and she didn't have any pets, no dogs, no cats. So she dumped some silk flowers out of Darby and Joan's glass vase there on the side table, and armed with that vase, she tiptoed to the vestibule. There was a slight rumble of thunder, and as she turned the corner and looked at the top of the stairs, she plainly saw a flash of pink. The color was unmistakable. And so she went up the stairs. The bedroom was dark. I gotta face this, she thought. And so she took a deep breath and she went to the closet and she pulled out the long box. The pink shoes were not there. She got a flashlight from the bedside table and she looked all over that closet floor, no shoes. But in the back of the corner, behind where the long box was, she discovered a pair of blue cloth slippers, all jammed up and wrinkled and sad looking. Year went by. And one day, my friend was getting her car serviced, and she was sitting in the waiting room when she struck up a conversation with a young woman. Where do you live? Atlantic Heights. Oh, the girl said, I work at Sunrise Nursing Home. We had the nicest lady who used to live out there. Lived her whole life at Atlantic Heights. Her husband died, she said, and she came to us at the home within a day or so. I remember she died last year. She died that night we had that thunderstorm, the one with the snow. Did you go to her funeral? Yes, I did. And there were only a few people there, most of them from the home. Did you see if the body had shoes on? Oh no, she said. They usually just put those cloth slippers on them. It is my opinion that if there is a ghost in any cemetery in New Hampshire, it is here. This is the Elm Street Graveyard in Milford. A dozen or so of my relatives are buried here, including my great-great-grandmother, Indiana Burns Dunkley. She's buried over there. But the ghost here, if there is a ghost here, is buried under this stone. This is the tombstone of Caroline Cutter. And it says right here that she was murdered by the ministry of the Baptist Church. The story is that the church had issues with her husband, Calvin, refused to let him come to meeting, but Caroline was a devout Baptist and she continued to attend until the deacons stood up in church and denounced her for being Calvin's wife and said she could come no more to the church. And she went home and died, it says here, of a broken heart. When I was 9 years old, the huge steeple of that same Baptist church came crashing down one morning. I was in school, I heard it, clear across town. Miraculously, nobody was hurt. But some in this town considered it to be the curse of Caroline Cutter. This is all true, murdered by the Baptist Church, the toppling of the steeple. Over the years, people have reported seeing a specter hovering over this grave at night. So let's find out. Let's see if we can get through to Caroline. Caroline? Are you here? Give me a sign, Caroline. Anything at all. Okay. Well, you know, the stone really is here. The steeple really did fall. You didn't really think there was going to be a ghost too, did you? I mean, that's really silly, don't you think?
Don't go! Come back! Come back!
Oh, give me a break. That's my producer. That's Holly.
No, it's not me.
So this year's Halloween show has come to its gruesome end. Scary stories, all with New Hampshire connections. Did you have a good time? Did we scare you this time? I do hope so. So may all your dreams come true and all your nightmares too. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween.